Alright, hi everyone, and welcome to this very short training on corporate client acquisition. So we're going to go through strategies for consultants, coaches, trainers, speakers, small business owners, agencies and more on how you can generate up to 10 conversations a week with key decision makers without using paid ads. So what I'm going to share with you in this quick training is number one, why you should be considering corporates as a client if you don't already work with corporates, how to know what corporates are buying and how you could position your offer to what they're interested in, how you can find great clients both locally and globally, and what industries potentially you could target, and then how to get a conversation with the key decision maker, and then what to say to ensure that any proposal you put in gets accepted. So this is important because once you have a corporate partner, this means you can get secure ongoing repeat work. So often corporates want to partner with someone that they can go back to time and time again and just get standard repeat work ongoing over a year. This would give your business sustainability and resilience. Second, there's a huge amount of money every year that's budgeted not only for training and coaching but also for consulting services, all from external parties. So instead of thinking that corporates are totally packaged up and they have everything in-house, you need to begin to think of yourself as someone poised to tap into a huge amount of resourcing and budgeting that's available for external experts and providers. Now, if you are a coach or trainer, knowing that one corporate client can ultimately represent hundreds, even thousands of individual clients internally available for your coaching and training purposes. And also, despite COVID and other disruptions to our economy, consulting and virtual training and coaching is a particularly strong industry and is set to only grow in coming years. So who is this webinar for, this short training? So if you're a coach, trainer, facilitator or educator, if you sell one-on-one or group coaching, live events, if you're a speaker, you teach courses, or even if you have information products, then this short training is for you. But also, if you're a consultant or a service-based business, so if you sell done-for-you services like HR, recruitment, design, information technology, or if you have a software as a service company, then this training is for you as well. So before we go on, it's worth just pausing and thinking about the definition of corporate before you get hooked up on thinking I don't work with corporates. I'm using corporate in the broadest sense of the word, as in a B2B relationship. So it could be anything from a non-profit, which is not traditionally it's not the legal entity of a corporate. It could be a school or university. It could be a public institution, a department of government, local and national. It could be a small business. It could be an e-commerce startup, or it could be a large giant corporate or firm. So really what we're talking about is how you can work B2B with organizations as your client. And as I said earlier, if you're a coach or trainer, one corporate can ultimately equal hundreds or even thousands of individuals for your coaching and training. But if you are a consultant, then you think of corporates as basically groups of companies, because each department might have its own needs, and one department might refer you to another department, or one location to another location. And so you think of one corporate ultimately as the sum of multiple potential clients internally. And in reality, the number of coaches and consultants who have a full calendar of corporate clients is small. And if they do have one or two corporate clients, they're not really sure about how to get the next one. You see, this might be you. You might think, I think I really need an inside connection or a contact, or this is the way it's worked for me in the past. Like knowing someone internally who's able to bring me in. That's what I need in order to get a corporate client. Or perhaps this is you. You might think, I need to have a high-tech funnel or slick marketing. I need to have an amazing website or masses of automated emails and things automated into my CRM before I can reach out to corporates. Or maybe you feel that it's just overwhelming and you just don't know where to start. You wouldn't know who to talk to, how to find the decision maker, or what even to say to that decision maker. Potentially you've got a few corporate clients, but if they were referred to you by someone internally, you just really don't know how to go about finding more and initiating those conversations cold. And potentially you don't think that corporates even want to buy what you have to offer, that your product is so niche, you really can only reach individuals, and that corporates are not a potential client for you at all. And maybe you feel like, corporates have this sorted, they have internal specialists that they hire, they have internal training departments, and they don't really need what I offer. They certainly don't hire externally. Maybe one or all of these represent an opinion you've had at some point. The reality is, it boils down to the fact that working with a corporate is ultimately working with individuals, because companies are made up of individuals and key decision makers are individuals. So really it just comes down to, it's not really B2B or B2C, but it comes down to P2P, people to people. And really it's just about connecting with the right people, understanding their needs and desires and their goals and objectives, and then positioning what you offer as something that can potentially help them and provide a solution for them. So why me? Why am I qualified to share this information with you? Well, in brief, about 5 years ago, I started a consultancy called Resonate Consulting, and it was designed to help corporates connect to charities and non-profits for skilled volunteering projects. And so I spent several years doing workshops, training, events, conferences with corporates, and encouraging them to engage their staff around skilled volunteering projects for staff development and training, as well as culture building, as well as, of course, creating value in the community. Then I moved to the UK and worked with VSO, the world's largest independent organisation that works entirely through volunteers. And so we had large corporate partners that we were working with to engage in corporate volunteering and long-term projects abroad and locally. And so over the years, I've learned quite a lot about how to find key decision makers in companies and how to have those conversations with key decision makers and to engage whatever it is that you have, the most unlikely of things, including corporate volunteering, and how to make that attractive to a company. Because ultimately you'd be surprised who out there wants to partner with you. If you're a coach or consultant, then you just need to look at industry reports like this 2020 training industry report to see that UK companies have budgeted every year $4 billion for external suppliers to come in and provide coaching and consulting services. In the US, it's up to $10 billion a year that's budgeted every year for external suppliers. And for those of you providing coaching and training, up to 80% of training is now delivered online. And of course, this is growing considering COVID. So you might be one of the people who's just not sure which industry to target with your consulting or coaching services. Well, this snapshot from the Employer Investment in Training report from the UK government just shows which industries are investing a lot in their employees. You can see here that electricity, gas and water, we've got hotels, transport, mining, manufacture, construction, agriculture are all industries that have budgeted for investment in their employees and training and developing their staff. And you might be someone who's not really sure what corporates are buying or whether they're buying what you offer. Well, here is just a quick snapshot of some of the things that corporates are investing in, and this would only be the beginning, because underneath each of these dot points would be more and more detail. So for example, under speaking, you might be surprised to know that corporates invest in improvisation and some kind of acting classes for some of their senior leaders to get them thinking on their feet and speaking with confidence. So think broad and wide about what you offer and where that fits under what corporates are interested in buying. Now, the HubSpot Training Industry Benchmark Report says that poor quality training is a major issue in the training industry right now. As you can imagine, under $4 billion up to $10 billion of money is set aside for external training, but poor quality is a significant problem there that corporates report. Not to alarm you, but this actually should create an opportunity for you to see yourself, even if you are a smaller business, that if you're someone with expertise, that you're able to step in and fill a big gap here. So all you need to do is really establish your value and your expertise, and you will win long-term loyalty and repeat business from companies who just want results, and they just want to work with someone who can provide solutions to what they're looking for. So in brief, the goal of this short video in today's workshop is, number one, if you've never sold to corporates or B2B, I want to help you just think about to get started. And number two, if you've had some success selling to companies, I want to help you sell to more companies and to think about selling bigger packages. You see, it comes down to 4 steps. And with those 4 steps comes 4 mistakes. So let's go through them one by one. The first mistake you might be making is that you only think of companies in your local area. Or on the flip side, you only think of giant global brands. So I've spoken to coaches and consultants and trainers who really only want to work with companies in their local area. And the reason they cite that to me is because they want to meet them for coffee. They want to have that face-to-face conversation and have that relationship. They want to be able to go into people's offices and do the training in person. The limitation of this is, A, with COVID, a lot of the work is disrupted and they find themselves at a loss for work. And B, they're massively limiting themselves from the potential of companies all around the nation and all around the world. On the flip side, if you're only thinking of giant global brands, then you're just seeing these ivory towers of huge corporations that you potentially difficult to break into and to become a preferred supplier. And in that process, you're missing all the opportunity of all the high street shops and brands and chains and all the shops that are just in your neighborhood and right in your backyard. And so you're thinking the right way about which companies to target, whether that's local or global, is the first step. So really, you want to think about who do you want to reach, and you just want to jot down and brainstorm the following things. What types of company is already spending money on this? So look around at your competitors and who are they working with, and who's spending money on the coaching and consulting service that you offer. If you can look into industry reports, some of them I've shared with you in this brief training, you can find out how much they're spending. Then you want to think about who's the decision maker. Which department does this decision sit within? Is it training, learning and development? Is it human resource management? Is it under a department head? And then how do you find that decision maker? The decision maker who's aware of the problem and who is motivated to fix the problem. Then you want to try and reach out and connect with that decision maker. You also want to target the size or the geography of company that's easy to get results for. So it's no use going for a giant company if you can't get results for them. Maybe targeting a medium to large company is better for the type of results that you can produce. And then obviously you want to target companies that are predisposed at all to what you have to offer. So when you think of the types of companies to target, I like to think of it in 3 tiers. The first tier, which is the center of the target, type 1 companies, they know you and they're already buying what you have to offer from your competition. So the center of the target is companies potentially you've worked for in the past, maybe they're your previous clients, maybe it's the school where your children go to, or maybe it's a company that your friends or family run or operate. So you already have a relationship with them and you know that they're already buying a similar service. So that's tier 1. That's the low-hanging fruit, and it's the shortest sales cycle because you have an established relationship with them and you know that they're interested in what you have to offer. Type 2 company, which is 1 step out, is the type of company that you don't know yet, but you can get to know, and you know that they're already buying from the competition. So the sales cycle is slightly longer because you need to get to know them and you need to reach out and build a relationship with them. But once you've done that, all you need to do is show value to them and then you can become a preferred supplier. Type 3 company, the yellow ring, which is 1 step out even further, is companies you don't know and they're not yet buying what you have to offer, but they probably are investing in something similar or they have a challenge that's similar to the types of companies you want to work with. So an example could be maybe a company is investing in a growth strategy, but it's a growth strategy that's potentially out of date, or it's a growth strategy that you don't espouse. And so your job is to not only build a relationship with the company, but also to educate them on the new method that you propose, the new way of growing their company and growing in a sustainable way. And if you can show your value and you can build that relationship with them, and then you can win them as a client. So it's a longer sales cycle because of the education piece, but it can be incredibly fruitful. And then on the rings outside of that are companies that are not really interested in what you have to offer, and so we're not even considering them at this point. The second mistake that you might be making is waiting to not even reach out to companies because you think you need to know somebody personally, or you need to have that word of mouth or introduction, that referral, to even break in. When in fact, what you can do is, once you've figured out what type of company you want to work for, that second tier of company who you're yet to make friends with, you're yet to meet, you're yet to build a relationship with, then you just need to profile who the decision makers are within the company. So if you're targeting a medium business, then there's a small tier of decision makers that you can access. Large businesses are obviously a lot more intricate in their decision making tiers of responsibility. So you're targeting not only department heads and managers, but also executive directors, VPs, senior VPs, executives, things like that. So just think about the type of company you're targeting, and then the relevant decision maker and their role within the company. And then what you can do is use very powerful tools like LinkedIn Sales Navigator, where you can start to search by person, by job title, their seniority. You can search by the type of company that they work for and how long they've been in that role. You can search by whether they're your first degree connection, someone who you're already connected to, or a second degree. You can search by geography, by company revenue, by company growth. All of these things are available for you on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And then you're also able to export some of that data and create short lists of contacts that you can then target via email or via postal mail or via telephone. So there's multiple ways of reaching out to key people. All you've got to do is actually find who is that key person, and who is the person I need to have that conversation with, and how do I initiate a conversation with them. The next problem that you potentially have is that when you do have a conversation with a key decision maker, you start by talking about what you do. Now, this might sound illogical by talking about what you do, but instead of talking about what you do, the key is to speak to the organizational priorities rather than in specific terms of what you do. If you get very specific about what you do, you might lose the conversation because they're not ready to hear about what you do. If you start to talk about their priorities and how you can help them in very broad terms, that's where you can get an open door to come in and talk in more detail about what you have to offer. Ultimately, companies are always wanting three things, and it boils down to three broad categories. They want more profit, more productivity, and more profile. And obviously, beneath these categories is many, many priorities. And some can include, for example, more customers, or their current customers to spend more money with them, or they want to cut down any waste or cut down costs and things. They want to increase the productivity of their people, increase the retention of their staff and the attraction of high quality staff. They want to take their current staff and promote them, and they want to reduce any kind of loss around sick days and kind of attrition and people leaving the company. All of these are categories that you can speak to in your service. So instead of going in very specific and saying, this is what I do, you can talk about how you help them. So I help companies increase their profit. I help companies engage and retain their staff. When you talk about the results you create, it starts a very interesting conversation. So for example, if you're a wellness coach, a nutritionist or yoga instructor, don't start by saying, well, I teach yoga. And then the door might be closed at that point. They're saying, well, we don't need a yoga instructor. If you say it instead like, I help companies and your team members to be more productive and innovative through bespoke fitness programs. You see how you're talking first about the corporate priority, productivity, innovation, and then you do it through your product or service. And secondly, if you're a sustainability consultant, maybe the door might close in your face because they're not particularly looking for a sustainability consultant right now. But if you frame it in the terms of their interests, you can say, I help companies ensure long-term profitability. And I help raise the profile of the firm as responsible and ethical by evaluating their impact on the community and the environment. You see how you're speaking in terms of the corporate priority rather than what you do. The final mistake that you might be making is waiting to make a specific offer or having to know exactly what to say before reaching out. The thing is, once you've got your broad offer, how you help people in very broad terms, the next step is just to simply ask the right questions. And good sales is not really persuading them that they need to buy what you offer, but it's actually asking them the right questions and then positioning your offer as a solution to what they need. So if you get that conversation with that decision maker and you have time to ask them the questions, go through a series of questions like this, such as, what are you currently doing? What are priorities for you? What are the challenges you're facing? And how is that impacting your business? What would you like to achieve? And what are your goals over the next 3 to 12 months? And why do you want to achieve that? When you're able to go through this kind of questioning, and understand the deep priorities of the company and why that is a priority, then you're able to position what you offer as a potential solution for them. And as a final tip, if you are asked to submit a proposal, just make sure that any proposal you submit should be actually just a confirmation or reinforcement of what you've already agreed with the company. So instead of coming up with a proposal that's meant to persuade them to purchase your product or service, make sure that that's already been agreed in the exploration conversations that you've had prior, and the proposal is just a confirmation of that conversation. Ultimately, you're equipping that key decision maker to take that document to other key decision makers and get sign off internally. So what have we covered? We have covered the massive opportunity that's available for you to get corporates as a client for your coaching or consulting business. We've talked a little bit about what corporates buy and how you can position your offer to what they're interested in. We've talked a lot about how you can find great clients both locally and globally, and how you can find key decision makers. And we've also talked about what you could say in the conversation to ensure that your proposal gets accepted. So ultimately the choice is yours. You can continue what you're doing, maybe struggling with one-to-one clients or waiting on word of mouth, or you could learn some steps that work for people who are filling up their calendar every month with conversations with key decision makers. But you must have a right system to generate that kind of result. So if you're a consultant or a coach or a small business and you're looking for a predictable way to generate those corporate or B2B clients on demand, then you're definitely in the right place. So if you want help with crafting that compelling corporate offer, making sure your message resonates with the key decision makers, if you want help with creating a predictable corporate client attraction system so that you can generate those 5 to 10 conversations every week with high value clients, if you want help developing an authority-based selling system so that you know how to have those conversations and ask the right questions and position your expertise in the best way to solve the right problem, and if you want to create a battle plan and implement systems and processes that streamline your business and help you grow without necessarily having to do more and more and more hours, then I invite you to sign up for a free strategy session today. So this session will take around 30 minutes and you speak to me personally, and I'd help you put together a strategy to dramatically grow your business without increasing the time you spend in your business. Now, this 30 minutes is a personal, tailored, custom one-on-one strategy session between you and me. And this is where we really begin to work out what you want, what your goals are, and how to make it happen in the fastest possible time. So go to the link below, click on the button, make sure you apply for that free strategy session, and I look forward to talking to you real soon.